time once again for the Guinea Pig King, representing the Guinea Pig Liberation League. Gotcha. Let's try that again, Herb. Gotcha. Oh, yeah, I knew I'd get you. I knew that you'd show up sometime. I knew. Maybe it's our long, thin shape. Maybe it's our exquisite taste. But we knew we'd get you in the end. Gotcha. Come on, sing, gang. The bear missed the train. The bear missed the train. The bear missed the train, and now he's walking. The bear missed the train. The bear missed the train. Oh, the bear missed the train, and now he's walking. The bear missed the train. The bear missed the train. The bear missed the train, and now he's walking. All right. Yeah, let's go. The bear missed the train. The bear missed the train. Oh, the bear missed the train, and now he's walking. Yeah. The bear missed the train. Sing again. The bear missed the train. Oh, the bear missed the train, and now he's walking. Woo-hoo. The bear missed the train. The bear missed the train. Oh, the bear missed the train, and now he's walking. He's walking near. He's walking everywhere. He's walking all. The bear missed the train. Oh, the bear missed the train, and now he's walking. Yeah, thank you. That's very nice. I mean, there's something I like about, basic stridings forward in the cultural world. There's nothing to put hair on your lungs like a cup of lukewarm New York water. The bear missed the train. Hey, listen, while we're on the subject of the bears, one thing I didn't tell you about Sweden, and this ain't a show tonight about Sweden particularly, but I'm going to tell you one thing about Sweden. You know what happened last week in Stockholm that they're all talking about? I mean, even in Stockholm, they were talking about this. A big white Cadillac convertible with the top down drove all over Stockholm last week. And, well, first of all, Cadillacs are very unusual in Stockholm to begin with. This big white one, a great big one, see, top down and white leather upholstery all over the place, drove all over Stockholm, and in the Cadillac, in fact, in the back seat, they were sitting up in the back, up on the trunk lid there, like visiting politicians, waving at the crowd. In the car were six. Well, it's Friday, right? Are the kids still up? Okay, well, in the car were six young ladies of fantastic endowment, totally jaybird naked, driving around all over town, see? The middle of the afternoon. This was not at 2 in the morning. This was like, 1 in the afternoon. Rush hour. Everybody was out for lunch, here they're driving up and down. And on the side of their car, they had big signs all around the side of the car, and it was an advertising stunt. And they were advertising a house of, would you please give me a little music while I think on just how to word this, please? Oh, the bear missed the train. The bear missed the train. Oh, the bear missed the train, and now he's walking. The bear missed the train. The bear missed the train. The bear missed the train, and now he's walking. Thank you. So, you see, Brack, You see, culture is moving on. I'd like to, along that same line, for those of you who are Jaybird Naked fans, we have a little note here that you might find interesting. Hello, test, hello, test. We're just adjusting our 500,000 watt transmitter here. Hello, test, hello, Connecticut. Hello, yes, we're just testing. We have, but look, we'd like to salute you Jaybird Naked fans. For those of you who are sports fans, the husband of the new Miss Nude America is so proud. This is a UPI note. It says the husband of the new Miss Nude America is so proud of her that he's going to quit his job as a professional bowler. That sounds like an intellectual family, doesn't it? He's going to quit his job as a professional bowler and become her full-time manager. Mrs. Judy Day, who's a rather ample figure, it's actually truly ample. It's 49, 25, 37 figure. Won her the title during the weekend in competition at Roseland, Indiana nudist colony. Has been an exotic dancer up to now, but she says her career as what she called herself Miss Fleshette is over, and she will now devote all of her time to her new title of Miss Nude America, which she says will earn her $1,500 a week. And I would like you, for those of you out there who collect great statements of our time, get your transcriber out, because what Miss Nude America says is it's an inspiration to all of us. She says, and we quote, "My husband is very proud of me. He quoted me some poetry about this being the one chance in life and that my tide was coming in." Yes, that's one way to put it, honey. 49, 25, 37. It ain't only her tide. Boy, what a center of gravity that lady has, I'll tell you. Got to watch that weight loading, don't you, Herb? Center of gravity like that, I'll tell you. My tide floweth. Yes, well, a man has to do that. I remember the quotation. It's almost on the tip of my tongue. It's something about that the tide rushes out or something, and man must grasp at the full tide something, or something doesn't happen, or if he doesn't grasp at the full tide something won't happen. Well, how does that quotation go, please, out there? Would one of our intellectual type listeners let us know what that is? You know the quotation, don't you? What is this? What is this? And again, Archie Bunkerism is rampant in this station, I'll tell you. Oh, you thought it was a story about a bowling pro, huh? I see you missed the thing there, huh? Miss Fleshette? You didn't, Yeah, well, she was performing at a nudist colony in Roselawn, Indiana. Well, if you know anything about Roselawn, Indiana, that's, that's a thought-provoking idea in itself. Roselawn, Indiana, I'll tell you, friends, makes Farmington, New Jersey look like New York. Would you lay some compose on me, Herbert, please?
So tell me about it.
Imagine how I felt. My first art show, and me, an amateur.
Listen, this is a lesson in this for all of you. Listen.
You should have taken aspirin.
But I didn't have a headache. I felt a bit edgy, so I took Compose.
Listen to this now.
Compose, for temporary relief of occasional simple nervous tension.
Listen, she was painting bad.
How did they like it?
Would you believe I sewed 3 watercolors right off?
A bit edgy at times? Help take the edge off with Compose.
It's the Caribbean for our honeymoon.
There's no skiing there. Use your pretty head.
Oh, please don't touch my head.
Why?
Dandruff. And I used a dandruff shampoo 2 days ago.
Maybe yours is tougher than plain dandruff.
It can be psoriasis. See your doctor. Sorex medicated shampoo used regularly helps relieve flaking and scaling. Sorex, P-S-O-R-E-X. Tougher than plain dandruff.
Hey, you can go water skiing there.
What a smart little head.
That's one of those great...
Sorex shampoo. Tougher than plain dandruff.
Oh, I almost said. It's one of those great non-conversations that you hear in commercials, Don't touch my head, it's my dandruff. Can you imagine somebody saying that to you? Oh, don't touch my head, it's my dandruff. Oh, look at it, it's all over. No, it's kind of a great grotesque thought that Jean Genet could write a scene like that, the dandruff king. And I'm sorry, Lee. You could get Madeline Sherwood to play it. And she comes on stage tippy-toe, strewing dandruff as she comes. Oh, the bear missed the train. The bear, that's a catchy little thing, isn't it? La-dee-dee-dee-dee, now he's walking. Oh, the bear missed the train. You know, speaking of Sweden, I might as well talk a little bit about that. No, I better not tonight. People are very nervous and high tension. You know, tonight it's Friday night. Everybody's getting on the mark, and they're getting down, squatting in the squatting position. All right, gang, we're going to do the squat and toe. So it's PT time. And while you're getting ready out there to do the squat and toe and the bicycle in place movement, do a few little push-ups and then a couple of laps around the track, I'd like to lay, if you will, upon you a General Tire commercial. It's beautifully written. It's kind of poetic. It says, see your local General Tire specialist for a great pre-Labor Day buy on famous General Jet white wall tires. And I'll just read it the way it is. It says prices as low as $29.90 for a pair of those long mileage tires in the popular size. In fact, everybody loves this size. 650 by 13 tubeless white walls. That's my favorite size. And you go to where you see the big red General Tire G, and you just lay them white walls on your car, and life will become a song. In Plainfield, if you're out there in Plainfield, oh God, what a fate. In Plainfield, visit the new store. It's at 815 West Front Street on Grant Avenue. You ask for Joseph Vasta. He's just standing out there on one foot waiting for you to come over. Getting time. And while we're about that, let's see, it says, no, that can't be. It says right now, is that on E.T. Shoetown? Is that on E.T.? No, I didn't think so.
In the guise of mild-mannered Lionel Marshall, proprietor of over 75 Shoetown stores,
you hear this?
Is the man with superhuman powers known the world over as Super Shoe. Today we find Lionel in the stockroom of his Shoetown store in Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania.
Say, Lois, will you please have me that stack of boxes?
You mean a stack of thousands of boxes filled with the beautiful and famous brand shoes that Super Shoe found all over the world and that he's given you to sell at such incredibly low prices?
Yes, Lois, that's the stack I had in mind.
Oh.
Thank you.
Gee, Lionel, these Shoetown prices are so low. How do you suppose Super Shoe does it?
I guess we'll never know, Lois. We'll never know.
Super Shoe, keeping the prices incredibly low on famous brand shoes for the entire family at Shoetown.
Yes, indeed. That's exciting. Right now, Shoetown is packed with Super Shoe bargains. For fall, thousands of famous maker shoes. Gee, it's a new brand for men, women, and children, all for many dollars less than at other stores. So get your entire family over to Shoetown. Get them on a stick. La-dee-dee-dee-dee, la-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. The courtroom was packed with 8,000 screaming guinea pigs. Members of the Guinea Pig Liberation Front who demanded more guinea pigs on the juries. We want to have a guinea pig judge, or at least a pro-guinea pig judge. This is WOR New York. Speaking of guinea pig. Here, hit it, please.
You're the first lady I really tried to pick up. Will you make love to me?
He was a man who wanted more than a wife.
Mommy, I'm frightened. Can I sleep in your bed?
He was a boy who wanted more than a mother.
I feel like I'm split in two. I know that they're oceans apart.
She was the prize, and they were the rivals.
Do you love me, Mommy?
If you want, I'll start having nightmares so I can cuddle up at night with you, huh? And I'll start pulling the bits. Mommy, I'm frightened. Can I sleep in your bed?
Please, shut up!
Engaged in a desperate struggle.
He's hung up on me.
Well, yeah, maybe you're hung up on him.
They would do anything to win her, and they would stop at nothing.
You can't have your mother this way.
Joseph E. Levine presents Krishna Shaw's Rivals, starring Joan Hackett, Robert Klein, and Scott Jacoby. Rivals from Avco Embassy Pictures. Rated R. Under 18, admitted without parent.
See The Rival. It's a fun picture now at the Cinema One Theater, 60th Street and 3rd Avenue. It's very exciting. A lot of screaming and yelling. You'll love it. Oh, my mere Mr. Shane. My mere Mr. Shane. Oh, the bear missed the train, and now he's bubbling. Oh, my mere Mr. Shane. Walter missed the train. Oh, ho, 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 I knew he'd do it. La da da dee 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 da 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 dee 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 dee. La da da dee dee dee. Yes, there is a tide in the affairs of men that, taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. And so it will be with Miss Nude America, swept on like Julius Caesar on the tide of flood of fortune, leading her to unbelievable dough. With them 49ers sticking out in front, she's going to do all right. La-da-da-dee-dee-dee. That's the heavy artillery. La-da-da-dee. Hey, what's this Christian thing we got here? Christian? What's this? They're coming up on Cat's feet.
Help us not to be afraid of life. There's so much that happens in life that we just as soon tune out and turn off. But we can't. There's also so much that we hope for that just never happens. And because things seem so uncertain, sometimes we get scared. And when we're scared, Lord, for some foolish reason we take it out on you. We laugh at you and we blame you. We forget that you are the only one who can give us direction and courage and hope in the uncertainties of life. Help us to remember that you have an unchanging message for a changing world. Teach us, Lord, to trust and obey.
Produced by the Christian Reformed Church.
Well, that makes you think. La-da-dee-dee-dee-dee, da-da-dee-dee-dee. La-da-da-dee-dee-dee, da-da-da-dee. La-da-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. I mean, have you ever had a vague, fleeting impression, Herb, that it's getting so fantastically insane you just can't stand it? I mean, it's just great. I'll tell you, we're living in a gigantic gallimaufry. Life can be. Here's a guy that knows what it's about. We'd like to salute George Ferguson, please, if you don't mind. George Ferguson in Perth, Scotland. He was fined $250 Monday for escaping the slam twice. Twice he ran out of jail. He came back. I mean, each time he just ran out to get a pint of beer. Ferguson discovered the key to the fire escape also fit one of the jail doors, and he made 2 trips out for a beer when the guards thought he was locked in. And they fined him for it. Oh, man, I'll tell you. They should have applauded him for it. He came back. You know, that seems kind of rotten. They fined him, just going out to get beer. Well, and we're on the subject. Yes, that's true. The courtroom was packed. I mean, the guinea pigs screaming they're political prisoners. Give me that machine gun. I want to do a little target practice here. Might practice a little bit, Herb, please. What's the matter? Did I hurt you? That hurt your throat? I'll be damned. That's called transference. That's a very interesting psychological problem. Let's try that again, Herb. Is that better? No, huh? That's just a little target practice. A little high and wide. It's pulling to the right. Well, I'll tell you this, though. When you come back from Sweden, it kind of takes a while to get orientated, as my friend Barry Faba says. Well, of course, I had a first sergeant who used to talk like that, too. And, in fact, he had even the same damned accent. I remember him walking around up in the front there in that Quonset hut. He said, now, I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll tell you, if I don't do it, I'm going to see a lot of action around here. I'm going to see a lot of dust raised around here. My job is to orientate you men, and I'm going to orientate you. We almost said it there, didn't we? No, I didn't say that. What's the matter with you? You're getting chicken in your old age. You know that, don't you? Do you know what they call that? You know what they call that? They call that the shakes. Golfers get it. When they're starting to get old, they get nervous when they're lining up a putt. And producers get like that. The more crow-like they get in their attitude and their mind, the more nervous they get, and that's why they start winding up producing Doris Day movies. They start out doing Last Year at Marienbad. Hey, by the way, that would be a great idea for an Archie Bunker sequence. he's sitting there waiting for the movie of the week. Archie Bunker loves the movie of the week. All Archie Bunkers everywhere love the movie of the week, and they love the Jets. And have you ever had a feeling that all of Shea Stadium is populated by nothing but Archie Bunkers and little Archie Bunkers? I mean, only a little Archie Bunker would print a big sign that says, Fair Lawn, New Jersey loves Ed Kranepool. Now that, friends, is the true sentiment of Archie Bunker right there. And nevertheless, have any of you noticed the sad decline of the quality of the signs at Shea Stadium? Oh, yes. Back in the early 60s when the Mets first got underway, spectacularly and hilariously for about 3 seasons there, when the Mets really were the real Mets, Rod Keneal, Hot Rod Keneal, all those great guys. Yeah, they really were. The signs had beautiful, cutting, ironic humor. I mean, real literary quality. And now the classic sign, is 2 8-year-old kids walking around with their plastic batting helmets that they got at the Getty station, walking around holding up a bed sheet that says, Hackensack loves the Mets. And, that's just so sad. It's what it has. It's fallen into toadyism. And now, if 3 kids would stand up with a great big sign that says, East Fairlawn hates the Mets, I would feel that there's a little life left out there. That would have a little. Oh, you don't see that? Of course you do. I knew you would. After I explained it, I knew you'd get it. So, I just, some of the great signs. How many of you? Let's put this to a test out here. Speaking of trivia fans, and now hold it there, now, baby. Now listen to what's going to be said. Get your thing out. All set? How many of you people, who watched the Mets back in the days when they were really the Mets? Remember when? Who was the outfielder who hit 35 home runs for the Mets? The year they scored 37 runs. He hit 35 home runs. Willie Joe Namath? No. He doesn't play that game. That's another game he plays. Who was it? All right, I'll tell you. It was Frank Thomas, right? Okay. Now here's the question. They had this great aggregation, see, and the signs began to pop up very shortly after the Mets began to play. I remember I was out at the Polo Grounds. And the first couple of signs broke out in the left field bleachers, and they were beautiful, cutting, sardonic signs. There was a different kind of guy who went to the Mets in those days. They were all almost subterranean protesters. There's a whole different thing. Now you never saw such a group of joiners out there. There's always a big thing on the signboard. It says the Mets welcome the East Japip Rotary Club and cigar makers, and they're all out there, with their funny hats and blowing their horns. The big thing says we love the Mets. Well, that's a whole different ball game, And I would like to ask any of you out there who let's just see what kind of an American you are, what kind of a New Yorker you are. How many of you remember those great signs? You remember the signs? Okay. I want any of you who actually remember specific signs to call in, and let's hear what your favorite sign was that appeared out at Shea or at the Polo Grounds before the Fair Lawn, New Jersey loves the Mets crowd took over. That crowd joined the Mets following, by the way, shortly before and after they won the pennant. Before that, it was all, that's right. That's right. I remember. Oh, that was a great sign. Lee, hold it up there for a minute. Yeah, I remember that sign. It was a great sign. They held a big sign out there. It says, Jesus saves, not McGraw. Of course, that was kind of a late one. That was because Tug McGraw, is a contemporary ball player with the Mets, but that was a pretty good one. I remember one guy, for example, all of a sudden he popped it out, one of those fantastic plays that the Mets would make, like Rod Keneal would come in and catch it on the Adam's apple, see, and he'd make a fantastic dive for it, and because his eyes were bad, he dove for the bag instead of the ball. He grabs the bag, tries to throw it over to the first baseman. Who was the first baseman? Of course, Marvelous Marv. And what was worse, Marvelous Marv tried to catch it, that kind of thing, seeing the runners all the way around to third. Well, some guy just whipped out a sign, just out of the blue. He held his sign up, and all it was a gigantic exclamation mark. That's all he lowered it. and, you know, his timing was perfect. It was right after this fantastic thing. And then, of course, then that started a whole sequence of punctuation signs. Like, for example, the PA system says, PA system used to always come out and says, and now, pitching for the Mets, number 26, Aloysius J. Zimbowski. We repeat, now pitching for the Mets, number 26, Aloysius J. Zimbowski. Somebody held up a great big question mark. Who was Aloysius J. Zimbowski? They had these guys who would come up for about 5 minutes, you know, they had to go down again. Yeah, did somebody just call that up? Yeah, there's another great Met sign of that period. Some guy held this one up one day, and it's an unforgettable sign. It was just a sign that simply says, give me a little echo chamber. How long? How long? And all those guys, of course, are now gone. They're that crowd. As soon as the great horde of 8-year-old Bat Day fans started to arrive, you know, the Lindsey Nelson crowd, they quickly weeded themselves out. You know, it's just about a matter of attrition. You know, there's certain people who cannot follow anything that wins. They can't. You know, I wonder how many people, you know, great McGovern fans are today. You know, the same crowd tends to follow guys like that. I'm just curious how many of them would get really mad if McGovern actually won. Oh, within 2 weeks they'd be, you know, writing angry cartoons into the voice. You think you sold out, but anybody else? Come on, let's hear some of those great slogans. Are you the only one in there? Come on, let's hear some of them. Come on, get out. Or are there just the Johnny-come-lately Met fans out there? You know, Hackensack loves the Mets types. You know, it's a sad crew. There used to be, as a matter of fact, one of my favorite ones was they used to pop up back at first base, and they used to heckle Marv Throneberry all the time with signs. And for example, one guy held up a sign one day. I'm out there. It says, "Please, Marv, catch it. My mother's back here." You know, he wanted to get hit with the ball. and of course, the Mets had a sense of humor about it themselves. They had to. I remember one day when Throneberry was being interviewed on the field on TV, you know, and they were asking him about this, and he says, "Well," he said, I can't tell you why I'm so popular out here, but I sure don't mind it." Incidentally, he's a much maligned ball player. His record is much greater than his reputation. He was a good ball player, actually. But he's like, Marv Throneberry was like Sonny Tufts. Sonny Tufts wasn't a bad actor, but everybody got into the habit of saying, "Sonny who?" Or they'd say, "Sonny Tufts?" It just drove him right out of the business, you know. And, that's literally what happened to Throneberry. Come on, Lee, hold it up there. Let's see what some of those great. Yeah, here comes some great signs. Yeah, that was another famous line. Another famous. Now you see, that's way beyond. That's too literary for the contemporary Met crowd. Much too literary. That was a famous one. Somebody held up a sign one day, and it had that kind of Christian forbearance and that Christian perseverance to it. It's kind of the story of the Western man. He just held up a sign that says, "Endure." And it's got such simple grace and purity. And, of course, the timing of a sign is great. How many of you remember the great night? It was a hot night, just like tonight. You might remember her, the great night. What Met pitcher had lost 21 straight games? I mean, 21 straight games. That's a lot of games for a guy to pitch in, much less lose. He lost 21 straight games. And I remember the night that he on his 22nd game, it looked like he was going to take another pasting, you know. And here he was laboring away out there, and late in the ninth inning, one of his fellow Mets caught a hold of a fastball on the high outside corner, you know, and he must have hit it with his eyes closed, and hit it right out of the park. And he won the ball game. And the entire crowd, this was out at the Polo Grounds. The entire stands, millions of people were out there because the guy had lost 21 straight games, And there was a tremendous roar, and it was like the World Series. And everybody poured out on the field. What was the name of the pitcher? Who was the pitcher who did that? Well, now I'm not going to repeat the whole story. If you were in there talking to your friend and discussing parakeets, you missed the story. No, J. Hook, no. J. Hook was not a man of distinction. This is a man of distinction. It takes a man with style to lose 21 straight games. J. Hook didn't have that talent. No, I mean it. Who was it? Who was it? Why, this is a milestone in modern baseball. 21 straight defeats. That is correct. And all right, now I'll ask you a question. Who was that? And now, even a harder question, who was the guy that hit the home run that broke his fantastic losing streak? And I'll give you a clue. The guy that hit the home run is still active, but not playing on the Mets. He's very active, in fact. Who was it? Fantastic moment. Well, of course, this kind of adversity. See, out of true adversity comes humor. Humor does not come out of affluence. There's never been, there's no way. There's never been, no great comic was born a rich man. No way. Oh, yes, that was a famous one. Indeed, that became a watchword out at the Shea Stadium. That was another one. Of course, you see, that was a different one. That was a cry. That was a cry in the dark. That sign that was held up that historic day when it first appeared at Shea Stadium, a cry for mercy. And all the sign simply said was, help. That's all. They hold it out there. You don't see that kind of stuff out of Shea. Nothing but those kids lumping around, those little fat kids, all bunch of little fat kids. They go out there to get on TV, and Daddy, I want to get on television. Take me out to the Mets. And they sweep around the kids, yelling, And immediately the kids hold up their sign, Fair Lawn, New Jersey loves the Mets. Well, oh no, no wonder the Mets are a lackluster crowd these days, Somebody has to raise a sign telling the truth about Ed Kranepool. Yes. That was a beauty. Yes, indeed. You want to hear another one? This is a great one. This is the kind of sardonic humor that only can come out of, a series where the Mets have dropped 7 straight and only scored 2 runs and made an average of 17.9 errors per game. The famous one that it kind of says it for so many moments at Shea or at the Polo Grounds. It says help was somebody hold up help, and then they would bring in another pitcher, and he'd be out there a couple of minutes, throwing in those slow, easy, fat curveballs, and someone would hold up a sign that says this pitcher will self-destruct in 2 innings. Which was quite true. Now, quick, who is the guy that did this? I don't know why this is not a baseball show, but after all, it's a hot summer night. Why not? Another great moment in that period. What's that, Lee? Oh, gee, we're getting another great slogan. Nobody identified the pitcher, right? All right. No, it was not J. Hook. All right, what pitcher? Oh, I'll ask you another question. Yes, all right, stop yelling in there. I know. Yes. Oh, I remember that one. Yes. Yes, that was about 2 weeks after Kranepool joined the Mets. I wish somebody'd start whipping that one out again. 2 weeks after he joined the Mets, somebody held up a big sign, is Eddie Kranepool over the hill? Of course, he was, pushing the cool 18 at the time. And he's been an elderly gentleman ever since he joined the Mets, a curious type guy. But I'll ask you another question. Wait, we're getting all this information here. Just a minute. Here's more information. Why did you bring this in here? Huh? You did what? I don't know why she brought this in. You just have to hold it up. I can read it. But there was another great moment out there, which is a kind of historical moment for those of you who cherish historical moments. At that time the Mets, of course, when they went around and they got all these cast-off ball players when they were put together, they got a whole crew of guys that had just made their big thing by winning 3 games on some college ball club. See, so they had a whole bunch of guys who were very theoretical ball players, but not actually practical ball players. For example, what relief pitcher did they have? He started out with him as a starting pitcher, but that went down the drain very fast when they realized that he was good for about 2 outs at the beginning of a game, and after that it was, you better wear a steel helmet out in the outfield. Who was the pitcher? He became a very short relief man, if you know what I mean. If you had the last guy up in the ninth, see, and you had 2 strikes on him, you brought this guy in, hoping he would get his strike in. He was good for about 2 or 3 strikes over the plate in any one given inning. Now, who is this pitcher? He was from Yale. Yeah, that's right. I remember that was another great Mets sign. In fact, that was a sign that really said so much. It says, "We don't want to set the world on fire. We just want to finish 9th." Well, of course, it's a 10-team league, and to rise to 9th was a fantastic thing when you had Hot Rod Keneal out there and a few others, those goodies. Yes, I remember this one. Choo-Choo, if you ever took up tiddlywinks, it'd be dangerous. Choo-Choo who? Who was Choo-Choo? That's right. And what number was Choo-Choo Coleman? Well, I remember Choo-Choo Coleman's number very much. He was always hopping up and down in front of the TV camera. You couldn't miss it. He was number 17, in case you're interested in that kind of trivia. And while we're talking about trivia, we have another a little General Tire ding-dong here. It's a suggestion to see your local General Tire specialist for his great pre-Labor Day buy on famous General Jet white-wall tires. They're very exciting tires, and I'd like to repeat that they have them in this popular size, which everybody really, really loves. It's just a wonderful size, 650 by 13 tubeless. And, you just go out there and ask for that one and join the crowd. That's a lovely tire. And you look for the big red General Tire G, you see. That's where they sell these General Tire General Jet white-wall tires. And I'd like to suggest that if you're going to do it in Elizabeth, see Chet Mount or Tom Steele of the General Tire Service, 400 Rawway Avenue in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Yeah. Now, all right, who hit the ball that saved Roger Craig? That's right. Ken McKenzie went to Yale. Ken McKenzie, I always felt a real affinity for Ken because Ken McKenzie was the kind of relief pitcher that I always liked to see come in the game when I was playing baseball. He had glasses and he looked nervous when he'd come out there. You just loved to bat against a guy like that. You just pull your helmet down, and you kick a little dirt over the plate and look mad. And you knew you'd get that slow, easy curve. And then he'd pull his head back, see, because he was always getting hit by line drives. He'd pull his head down between his shoulders, pow, that kind of pitch, you see. And the pitcher, they also had another pitcher who was a graduate electrical engineer. Did you know that one, see? And he was always sitting in the dugout calculating the actual mathematical dynamics of a curveball. Yeah, he figured out all the tension and the forces that made a curveball. And somebody pointed out it would be kind of great if he could, translate it into reality. It's not enough to just make a curveball in a graph. You got to throw it. Who was that pitcher? He was the graduate electrical engineer. See, they had guys like that, which it was kind of a great ball club when you stop to think about it. And the great comedy team. In the earliest days. How many of you do feel, though, that these signs they keep holding up, so-and-so loves the Mets, it's kind of cloying. It reminds me of those pillows, and the heart-shaped mother and all. Yes, I've done them, honey. What? I did the choo-choo. Oh, you want to speak on the air? All right, we'll give you your show. Yes, what was that? Which Met player's nickname was Chalky? Oh, Chalky, that's Andy Capp's buddy. Chalky, yeah. No, I don't know whose nickname was Chalky. I don't know that. Yes, I knew you would. That's very exciting. No, I don't know. What Met? It was it a Met? I see. What Met ball player's nickname? We'll ask the slobs out there. All the Archie bunkers listening. What Met nickname? Who's the Met whose nickname was Chalky? Chalky. You mean Lindsey Nelson used to call him Chalky on the air? Huh? He did, huh? Chalky. No, I don't remember Chalky. He must have been up for a cup of coffee, maybe even a half a cup. Chalky. But I didn't intend to do a show on baseball tonight, but this isn't really a show on baseball. Very good. Very good. This is not a show on baseball. It's a show on the decline and fall of a whole structure. I would say that the Mets' high point, the actual high point of the Mets came, I would say, roughly about, I would say the year that Frank Thomas got into a fist fight back of the screen with two sports writers. You remember that? He finally then hit Frank Robinson, of all people, and and it was one of the really exciting moments of the Mets. And so, friends, we have once again traced the decline and fall of our time. Once again, we've examined the slowly accumulating hints that the path on the destruction of the empire is clearly laid out. As Julius Caesar said so well, and how many of you can certainly not forget it? Julius Caesar said, if you've been born to hang, you ain't never going to drown. And he said that. Of course, they stabbed him in the gizzard, so he's not much of a criterion on that. And so, friends, this has been brought to you by the Guinea Pig Liberation League of America. And, don't let them get you down. Join the crowd. And we'd like to also salute the new rising organization, which has been growing, Splat. It's growing great. You're listening to the president and the founder. Yes, there is a tide in the affairs of men that, taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. That, incidentally, is a quote from an obscure New Jersey poet, Ellsworth R. Leonard. Or is it B? Or is it M or an N? That's the kind of writing you have, honey. And so send up another rocket, Mother, and don't give up until he comes home. The raft will float forever, baby. It's just the problem, of course, is hanging on to it. So good night, Roger Craig, wherever you are. Good night, Elia Chacon. Good night. Oh, yes, this is WOR New York, and you stay tuned for Lester Smith and the news.